Hey folks, how you doing? Good to be with you. Thought I would talk about the cartouche. That's the Greek name of it. It is the oval shape that the king's name is in, telling of his development, etc. in this life. Another name for it is mensch, mensh. That's the Kimite name for it. mensh, mensch. So anyway, the Greek name is Cartouche, and that's what people are most familiar with. So Cartouche is the oval shape. We find the king's name in there, his development, etc. And at the bottom of the cartouche, there's a plank. Okay, the cartouche sits on it, and around this plank is wrapped a coil, wire, electric wire, is wrapped around this plank, and it has a battery in it, in the wiring, and it also has a semiconductor, maybe a crystal or something, that conducts electricity. So the plank indicates actually a coming to this life. We go around the oval shape, the cartouche, and then connected to the plank it leaves. There is a coming to this life, living the life, and then leaving the life. Okay. So in the king's in the cartouche, along with his name, when he was born, probably might have more than one birth. Well, we have the birth of we have the natural biological birth. And then we also have the birth of when we become when we reach puberty. That's a new life. We have transformed into manhood. Well, in olden days, that was a transformation into manhood when you reached puberty. You became a man, and the young girl became a woman. Well, okay, so that would be a birth. So he has his birth. He has his mystical name, and so forth and so on. Sometime the king's name changed. This is according to a cycle that he entered into in his life. Going from the boy to a man would also say entail a change of name. Another certain time in life when a person is like at his height of development, he might change his name again, according to that phase or height of development. So all this, whatever, would be in the cartouche, telling us of the life and development of the king, how things were going to progress for him, etc. And as I said, it also told maybe his mystical name. It tells us that the king has become what they call netter. Okay, that netter is translated into God in English. And English netter would mean God. That's how the translation went. Okay, and so people might be amazed. Oh man, they called him God. Yeah. Well, the term netter to the Kemites, interpreted as God by Westerners, the term was altogether different. In other words, God relative to the Kemites is altogether different than God as interpreted by Westerners, the Western religions. You know what I mean? Like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The term God was and some other religions in the world too, probably. In fact, the Kemites, when they invoked, for example, the netter, that is a power within them, that power would have to come forth if the person or practitioner invoked that netter properly, correctly. In other words, if the name of the God is spoken correctly, the God will appear. As a matter of fact, would have no choice. That comes under the law of necessity. If the environment, the inner environment, is such that it has been constructed or rather or adjusted for that God or that netter to appear, it would have to appear. This has to do with let's say a quality of energy. You know what I mean? Let's say that a person is on the football field and he's ready to play football. And what he wants to do is he wants to psych himself up. This is the call on energy. And the energy will appear on command as he pumps himself up, you know what I mean, to get into this game. That energy is going to rise up. It's going to rise up within him. It's the same principle. So a person practicing some spiritualism of some dimension, and he calls upon a certain energies within him. If he calls it correctly, if the environment, okay, within him is situated correctly, then that netter or that energy will appear. Simple as that. But you have to do things right. You have to do things according to formula, according to prescription. Okay? And that energy will appear. Okay? So anyway, the Cartouche tells us that the king has accomplished all of this. That's why they may refer to the king as God. They're referring to him as the one who has the power or the wisdom, okay, to invoke the netter at will whenever he wishes to. He has learned how to do that, but he commands the netter. But in some traditions, the God commands folks, orders folks, and tells them that he's going to even punish them if they don't do as he say. Well, and the other way around, the Kemites, they would invoke or call upon and order the God or command the God to do as they wished. Okay, and if they set the environment right, it would come true for them. As the football player out there on the field can psych up his energy to go out and play football. Yeah, he really gets the spirits up. Oh, it comes true for him when he psychs himself up. Same principle. Okay. Well, anyway, the Pharaoh had this power through training. Okay. Going through initiation process in the temple. But anyway, getting back to the cartouche itself, it has this coil around it, and the coil is wrapped around the oval shape and the base. Okay, like a plank at the base of the oval shape. They're attached together. This plank represents coming. It goes around like the oval shape, and it leaves. So it comes from cosmos, or it comes from eternity. The oval shape indicates this life, okay, and then it leaves when the person dies. The person returns to cosmos, to eternity. Okay, and there is the connection between the electric coil, the king, and eternity. In other words, the king is recognizably, he recognizes himself eternity, and he is attached to eternity. This cartouche tells us this. Okay, and the connection between the king and eternity is electricity. So this tells us that as far as the Kemites are concerned, the human being is an electrical creature, electromagnetic creature. You see? And we are attached to eternity through the electron. You see? So this is what the Cartouche tells us. It tells us these very things. And like I say, the Cartouche, some of them, could light up through the electricity. The electricity, we have electric current here. We have the battery, and we have the semiconductor in the coil. So the Cartouche could light up. So these people were adept with electricity. They used electricity in the tombs. When they went in the tombs to paint the tomb walls and paint all these, the gods on the tomb walls and all that. Oh, it was dark in there. Oh, how did they had to see? So they used electricity. They used electric lights like we do. That's true. They were very, very adept with electricity. They knew that electricity was the source of life, and they used it, and they used it wisely. Okay, folks, that's an idea of the Cartouche. Now, subscribe, and we have a lot more to talk about. And we'll have to get into some things that are rather interesting, whatnot. Such as the call to paradise. Yeah, we are called to paradise, we humans. Okay, folks, we'll just talk about that. So subscribe and stick with me on this. I have many interesting things to talk about. Thank you, and have a good one.